Honey,
Yes, dear?
we need to talk. Those dreaded 5 words.
Honey, we need to talk.
So in this video, we're going to be showing you what it really means to hold space for someone when they need to talk. And we're going to share the 3 steps that you need to execute in order to deepen connection and build intimacy in your relationship. Hi, I'm Emily Liu.
And I'm Jim Griffith, and we're a couple coaching other couples and singles over 40 with intimacy, sex, and relationships.
So in a nutshell, there are 3 steps to holding space and creating deeper connection with your partner. Number 1 is about requesting the conversation. And there's the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And then number 2 is listening with an open heart. And number 3?
Number 3 is summarizing what you've just heard and asking if there's anything else that they want to tell you. So through numbers 1, 2, and 3, you're really in the active listening mode. You're not reactive, you're not judgmental, you're a solid mountain that they can depend on to make them feel safe. So let's talk to you about what holding space means. Sometimes it's easier to explain things by talking about what it isn't. So holding space is not interrupting, it's not fixing, it's not trying to argue or correct someone when they're trying to talk to you about something. Typically, these are emotionally charged topics. It's the kind of thing where you really want to be the mountain. You want to be the solid, listening with an open heart kind of person.
And that also means that even if they're using you language, you should do this, why aren't you doing that? Holding space is also about like, not getting reactive and just say, oh, can we do a little pause? Is it possible for you to switch into I language? I feel. When I witnessed you do this, I felt hurt or I felt angry. So holding space is also about having the courage to give the direction to the other person in case they start to point fingers at you. This is you not getting reactive. It's like, wow, this person is afraid or feeling hurt. And that's why they need to use blaming and shaming language. Because anytime we use blaming and shaming language, it's because we're afraid of something underneath that.
Yeah, and the natural response is to get defensive if somebody is blaming and shaming you. And that's exactly what you want to avoid in this situation. So what Emily was talking about just a second ago is if you can hit the pause button on the person sharing and ask them to move into an I mode instead of a you mode, focusing on how I feel, what I perceive, how I'm reacting, what's happening inside me. Instead of, here's what you should do, here's what you did wrong, here's what you, right?
Yes. So that's what holding space is. It's really looking at the person and just transmitting the message. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm listening. And this is not about having your phone out and reading messages while you're, I'm listening.
It's giving your undivided attention. And that's part of what we mean when we talk about listening with an open heart. It really is fully present, fully there for the person, providing them a safe place, a safe space for them to tell you about what they really need to tell you about. And to not react, to not get pulled into any kind of defensive or corrective dialogue. Don't speak. It's as simple as that. This is not an opportunity to fix it. This is an opportunity to be silent. And to be silent, by your silent presence, you provide safety.
And for many men, and women are guilty of this too, but a lot of men, because they have been raised and taught that whenever something comes to them, that they're supposed to know how to fix it. So they carry that on into relationships, because many of them are used to doing that at work. And in a relationship, they're thinking the same thing. Oh my goodness, my wife is coming to me with a problem. She's complaining about her boss. Oh my gosh, what do I do with this information? And sometimes the man is just like interrupting and, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I already shared with you the last time you complained about him that you should do this. And if that is the fix-it mode happening every time, then the wife can feel unsafe and she doesn't even know why she's feeling resentment towards the fact that every time she tells a story about the boss, he just wants to fix it. So it takes two to tango, meaning the wife should be saying, honey, I just need 10 minutes of your time. I just want to dump my frustration. You don't need to fix it. I just need to let this out. Are you available to listen to me?
Yeah, so there's a way to get into this conversation is, the honey, we need to talk is sort of the alarming way. It sets off all of the defensive mechanisms or reactions that one might have. Instead, we might approach the conversation like this. Honey, there's something that I've been thinking about that I would love to talk to you about. Are you available to talk about this? So there's two pieces to that. There's the here's what I want to talk about, and then there's the question, the opportunity for the listener to say, no, I'm not available. That's respect, and instead of just interrupting them in whatever they happen to be doing. So it really has a very different feel to it.
When we hear, honey, we need to talk, it's an automatic, oh, what did I do wrong?
Right.
Like, whoa, I
It's
must
immediately
have...
about me, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What did I do wrong now? What is it that I'm in trouble for now? Boy, does that go back to childhood, right?
Yes, exactly. So that's why we have to choose our words carefully and also choose the tone through which you're saying, like, I would love to have a conversation about XYZ. Would it be possible to make time for this? I'm feeling confused. I'm feeling disconnected. I'm feeling an energy from you that tells me I must have done something. I would like to understand a little bit better. Is it possible for us to make time to discuss this? Because I want our relationship to be better, and I don't want to be holding any resentments or sweep anything under the rug. So would you be available to make time for us to talk about XYZ?
So this is how we recommend that you get into the process of holding space. And it has to be handled carefully. It's a habit that we develop of making sure that we're not approaching this as you're in trouble and we need to talk. Instead, it's here's something that I really am spending a lot of time worrying about or thinking about, or I feel real emotion about, and I just want to share that with you. Now, this is different than other conversations. Some conversations are problem-solving conversations. This is not one of them. Holding space is not a problem-solving conversation. Honey, there's something wrong with a washing machine. It's not that kind of a conversation. It's something that needs to be released, that someone needs to get off their chest. To be able to share it is the relief in its own right.
And why holding space for your partner is so important is because if you don't hold space for your partner, or if the partner feels attacked, judged, then that's going to create shutdowns, emotional shutdowns.
Conflict, yeah.
Not feeling safe.
Yeah, it's like all the defensive parts of us kick in and it doesn't go well.
Yeah, and things get swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Even the smallest things can get, if you sweep the smallest things under the rug, that pile is going to get high. And at some point, that's going to lead to a volcanic explosion.
Yeah, and that's not what we want, right?
Yeah. And that volcanic explosion usually happens over something minor, like, oh, I thought you were going to clean the garage. Why haven't you cleaned the garage? Oh, what's the matter? Are you going to take out the garbage? Do I have to remind you again? And it's really not about taking out the garbage. It's about all the resentments that have built up because you haven't been heard, right, or your partner hasn't felt heard. So this is why it's so important.
Yeah. Pressure gets higher and higher, and sooner or later something's got to give. I mean, we all know how this works in our relationships, and this is a way to release that pressure and to deal with those emotion-laden topics as they come up, as they're beginning to consume your emotional energy.
And at the same time that you're releasing the emotional energy and the charge around it, this is also the opportunity to build deeper intimacy that can be
very
cathartic and also be taken into the bedroom in terms of how close you feel, in terms of wanting to make love.
Right. Yeah, so it's a great relief when you've got something really important that you need to get off your chest. It is a tremendous relief to be able to have that received by your partner with an open heart and without judgment, That's another key thing that we should mention here is that there's no judgment. There's no making of faces. There's no groaning. There's, none of that is a part of holding space. No eye rolling. Yeah, no eye rolling. It's really more about accepting what this person is really sharing with you, and it's often something that's really important.
Here's an example of what not to do when requesting a conversation. Honey, I need to talk to you about something.
Okay.
The other night when we were out to dinner with Jane and Bob, every time I was trying to tell them a story, I just heard you cut into my sentences and you finished it for me. I felt like a little child, and it just didn't feel good with you doing that. Hello, are you listening?
Yep,
Are you really listening?
Something about dinner, yeah.
Wait, are you hearing what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm listening. What?
Okay, so that was an example of what not to do. Put away your computer.
Did I hear anything
Put
that she
away
said?
your phone.
No.
And he was like, yeah. Well, okay. If he does that one too many times, it's gonna be like, forget it. I'm not going to him anymore. I don't trust him. I don't respect him. Whatever. I'm just gonna roll my eyes. This guy doesn't hear me.
Because I'm not trying to hear you, and I'm not recognizing that you need to be heard, right? I'm in my own little world giving lip service to the idea of listening to her, and that's not the kind of listening process that you want to set up with somebody who means the world to you. So close the computer and be ready to have a real conversation with your heart, listening with your heart. What is it, honey?
Is it okay if we talk about what happened at dinner the other day?
Yeah, sure. I'm at a good breaking point.
Okay, all right. Yeah, when
Come here.
when I was telling the story about our vacation with Jane and Bob the other night, I felt like I was talking too slow. I felt like you were finishing my sentences and I couldn't get a word in edgewise because you took over. That didn't feel good. That made me feel like a little child, like I can't do things on my own. And I know that it's not your intention to hurt me, but that didn't feel good to me. I just want to let you know that.
So what I'm hearing is that the way that I behaved at dinner with our friends the other night really was disrespectful. It felt disrespectful to you, and that I was interrupting you and cutting you off. You felt like it was really not the kind of interaction that you wanted to have with our friends. Is that right? Am I getting it right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Is there anything else that you want to tell me?
Yeah, this wasn't the first time you did that.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
You've done that when I'm with my family and I'm trying to tell them a story and it just doesn't feel good. So when it happened one too many times, I have to bring it up and let you know how I feel and how hurt I feel. I know sometimes I take longer than usual to gather my thoughts, and I know you think a lot faster than I do, but it doesn't feel good when you interrupt me and finish the story for me.
Okay, so I'm hearing that it's not just last night, that I do this with your family as well.
Yeah.
And that does not feel good, and it might be embarrassing for you.
Yeah, it is. It is. Can you help me and let me finish my stories when I'm with our friends and my family?
Yeah, I'm going to do my best to do that from now on, okay?
Okay. And then would it be okay if I maybe even kick your knees under the table? Or
Depends on whether you're wearing those pointy shoes or not. I might need surgery.
That might be a good weapon. It's a good warning for you. Don't do this again.
How about if you squeeze my thigh?
Okay, I'll squeeze your thigh. Okay. Okay,
So what a different dynamic, right?
Right? He's holding my hands. I wanted to illustrate for you how to do active listening. And he looked into my eyes and I felt really hurt, and then the energy through which he transmitted through his hands, it was really loving. So that made me feel safe to share more. And when he said, what else is there? What else do you want to tell me? It allowed me to share another incident an imagined incident, since this is
made up.
just a role play, made up role play.
So just to summarize the points again, getting into the process of holding space.
Step one.
That's the step one process. Explain what you want to talk about and respectfully ask if they're available to participate. Step two is
Just
for
listen
the
with an
person
open
that's
heart.
receiving
Yeah.
the information, shut up, listen with an open heart, listen with empathy and compassion. Look her in the eye, hold her hand, or his, put your arm around him, or somehow let him know that you're there for him or for her. And then the active listening is the wrap-up of the process. So what I heard was that you're feeling such and such. Do I understand that correctly? And is there anything more that you'd like to tell me? Those are magical words, and they can lead to a deeper and deeper conversation. And that's really the essence of holding space.
Yes, follow those 3 steps. Now, if you want to have a cheat sheet of how to build greater intimacy through this kind of communication, we invite you to go to our website, intimacyandgreatsex.com, so that you can download the free guide to greater intimacy, which summarizes what we just talked about. So
Yeah, it's a great
you will see the
tool to
phrases.
help you through this process. And
Yeah.
we hope you find it useful.
Yeah. So now that you've seen some of these skits, we would love to know what has happened in your life in terms of holding space with your romantic partner. Have you done it? Has it worked? Let's get a conversation started in the comments, and we're more than happy to chime in and guide you.
Yeah, sure. Or we'd love to hear about the conversations that didn't go so well and how you might have done them differently. So if you had an argument, or you had a fight, or you had a conflict, or you had a difficult thing you wanted to talk about and just did not feel heard, we'd love to hear about that and your thoughts about, based on this approach, how it might have gone differently.
So if you want to continue to learn from us, the masculine and the feminine perspective on getting dating and relationships right, we invite you to subscribe to this channel as we put out deep content for you every week, so that you can learn to build greater intimacy in your relationships.
And we look forward to engaging with you in the comments. Thank you.
Okay, until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.